Hey there, welcome to Rogue Deck of the Week. And for this first episode, I decided to bring you one very special deck. This is a deck coming out. I was very hyped about it. And at that time, it wasn't all that good, but then they got support, and especially now it is a very viable Rogue deck. It's a deck you don't see that often. It's a deck you need to get into a little bit. It's not the easiest deck, but it's definitely a really fun deck to play. And the deck I'm talking about is, of course, Plunder Patrol. Okay, so for the first build, we have, in my opinion, the best build for the deck, which is the Adventure Plunder Patrol build. So what this build does is it uses the Adventure engine, which is on its own just very strong because it can get you an Omni-Negate on the board. So why is this important? Mostly because the deck has one big problem, and that one big problem is Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is played in basically every deck, and it really hurts Plunder Patrol because all of your ships can get Ash because they all have an effect to do something and then add a card from the deck to your hand. And because that is one effect, all of your ships can actually get ashed, which is really bad. So that's why the adventure engine in this deck is also very good, and it also has some other things that make it viable to play in Plunder Patrol, but we will talk about that a little bit later. So first off, for the Plunder Patrols itself, so what's the whole archetype doing is basically it steals the attribute from your opponent. So all your little guys summon then the ships with an attribute that your opponent has on its side of the field. So the Plunder Patrol main deck monsters itself all have two effects. So they have one effect on its own, and then they have another effect if they are discarded or sent from the monster zone to the graveyard. So starting off with, in my opinion, the best card of the deck, at least the main deck. This is the newest addition to the deck, so this was a support card that the deck got, and it is Black Ice, the Plunder Patrol Sea Guide. So what this card does, it is correcting a lot of the weaknesses that Plunder Patrol had in the past. So what it does is that you can target one Plunder Patrol card in your graveyard, special summon this card, and then add the card from your grave to your hand. So this gives you a little bit of recovery, which is very needed, because what you will learn is, especially at the beginning of the game, Plunder Patrol easily has no hand because they summon, they have a lot of discard effects, they also have a lot of draw and search effects, but you have to discard for every ship effect a Plunder Patrol card. So what you will learn is that a lot of the times you don't really have a lot of cards in your hand to play with, and Sea Guide corrects that by adding back a Plunder Patrol. And also, if this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, you get to special summon one of the Plunder Patrols that is in your spell and trap zone, which is also pretty good for the following turn. Then we have free Bluebeard. So this is basically an extender, so it summons itself if you control a Plunder Patrol monster, and if this card also gets discarded or sent from monster zone to grave, this discards one card and then draws one card. Gold here is that you can send one Plunder Patrol from your hand to the grave to special summon this card, and then if it is in the grave, you can discard one card and special summon it. Both of these effects are once per turn, but they're not either or, so you can use both. So you can special summon this card from hand, then link, and then special summon this card again. But you have to discard two, which is not all that good. Then you have Whitebeard, and Whitebeard and Redbeard basically have the same on-field effect. So what they do is, during your opponent's turn, as a quick effect, you can tag them out for one of your ships and then equip them to the ship. And if they get sent from the monster zone to the grave, what Whitebeard does is it special summons a Plunder Patrol monster from your deck. What Redbeard does is that it equips itself to another Plunder Patrol. That's the reason why I played 2 red and 3 white, because I think Whitebeard is way better. Whitebeard's effect is way better um, at the beginning of the deck, so you at the beginning of the game. So more often than not, you want to see Whitebeard over Redbeard. Then we play one copy of the trap. So this card, what it does is that you can declare one attribute of a targeted monster, make that monster that attribute, which is pretty good, because if you play against the deck, like for example Earth Machines, there's not a lot that you can do, because all of your Plunder Patrols that summon from the extra deck can't summon something because they don't have a proper attribute, which can hurt the deck a lot. And the booty is there to make to change that. So you can just wish for one attribute that you really want to have on your opponent's side of the field, change a monster to that, and then summon a ship. And then what is also good is after it does that, you can target one Plunder Patrol monster in your graveyard and then either shuffle it back into the deck or special summon it. So this card is pretty good if you have to link one of those into a Blackbeard. You can just summon it back with the booty on the next turn, so that you can summon 2 ships during your opponent's turn. Then we come to the field spell, which is Shipyard. This card is just amazing. It has multiple effects. So what it does, it is all your Plunder Patrols gain 500 for each Plunder Patrol in your spell and trap zone. So this makes your ships really big. Then you can discard one card to add one Plunder Patrol card from your deck to your hand. So this searches everything. This searches your monsters. This searches the trap. This can also search the other spells and traps if you decide to play them. And the last effect is, if this card is in your graveyard, this card sets itself and then special summons one of your Plunder Patrols that is in the spell and trap zone. Yeah, I'm not. It returns to the hand. I'm sorry. I'm way too far ahead now. This returns to the hand and then sets itself, which is also pretty good. Then we play the Adventurer engine with 3 Enchantress, 3 Ride, the Griffin Rider, the Draco Bag, and the Fateful Adventure. Just the ratio that is correct for the deck. You might have seen some decks playing 2 of the Adventure. Most of the time this were the 50 or 60 card variants. In this deck it is not really needed, I feel. But what card I really liked playing in this deck, it is the newly released Illegal Knight, that you can also search off the Fateful Adventure. This card in Plunder Patrol especially is really good. What this card does is that you can target 2 cards your opponent controls, give them back to the hand, and then special summon the Illegal Knight, which is pretty nice, because not only is it a good card going second, it also puts a dark monster on your opponent's side of the field, which means at least one of your ships is live. And then we play the 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Decrow, 3 Impermanence, and 3 Ghost Spell. These are just the hand traps that I really like for the format. Ash basically hits everything. Crow and Ghost Spell are very good against Despia. And Impermanence is also a card that basically hits everything, and it is also a good going second card for Floodgate monsters like Winder, for example. And then the one called by Grave, the card that should obviously be banned, but Konami decides that it is not the way. Drawing this card a lot of times wins games, so you definitely want to play the one called by Grave. For the extra deck, I have 1 Almirage. This card is absolutely needed, because if you have to normal summon one of your Plunder Patrols to make the Sea Guide live, or to you can also normal summon this if you don't have another Plunder Patrol. So yeah, you really need Almirage. That's a card you cannot cut. The same with Blackbeard. You want to play this card at 3. You go into a lot of Blackbeards. I'm sorry. That's better. So you go into a lot of Blackbeards, so you really want to have 3 of those cards. Then we play 2, 2, and 2 of the ships. There can be an argument made to play a 3rd copy of Liz. I don't think it really comes up. I am pretty confident with playing all of them at 2. I also tried Liz at 3. It is not the worst thing, but I don't think it is really needed all that much. So what the ships does is they all basically have 3 effects. So Bran and Morag are pretty similar, which their effect on field is that they become quick effects if they are equipped with a Plunder Patrol. Morag says you can discard 1 Plunder Patrol to target 1 effect monster and banish it. Then search a Plunder Patrol spell or trap. The Bran does destroy a spell or trap and then sends a monster, also for discarding 1 Plunder Patrol. What this card on field does is it gives all fiend monsters you control 500 attack, so all of your Plunder Patrols also get boosted by this card. So with this card and the shipyard, they can get really big, and it gets really easy to kill your opponent. This card has as a bonus effect, if you hard make it, that if a Plunder Patrol card would be destroyed, you can just detach 1 material from this card. So it is pretty viable to make this, to really hard make this card, because you then have the added protection effect. Then the Liz has is always a quick effect. It can special summon 1 Plunder Patrol from your hand or from your spell and trap zone. The hand effect, I feel, doesn't really come up all that often. The spell and trap effect does a lot. So what I really like to do is to, for example, have the Blackbeard, equip it, and then unequip the Blackbeard to have it into my in my next turn. And there are also some other very niche scenarios that you will find yourself with the Liz. Then it's a negation effect. It is, you can discard a Plunder Patrol and then negate the activation of any card. I'm just so unsure, I don't want to mess this up. Not a monster effect. Yeah, obviously it is a monster effect. So if a monster effect is activated, you can discard a Plunder and negate it. I don't know why I'm all that lost, but okay. And then it adds any Plunder Patrol card from the deck. So monster, spell, trap, it doesn't matter. That's why Liz is your best chip. That's why you can make an argument playing 3 of those cards, so you never run out of a Liz, but that really doesn't happen. Maybe if we change into a more grindy format, yeah, maybe playing 3 copies of this card is correct. Right now games are so fast, most of the time you have 2 or maximum 3 turns, so what you want to do, summoning 2 lists in the same turn doesn't really do anything, because it is all a hard ones per turn. Then we play 1 Bahamut Shark and 1 Toad. I would really recommend playing this, because with a good hand you can go into a Toad and a Blackbeard for your turn, and having a Toad negate is pretty good. Also, Toad adds back any of your Plunder Patrols, which is also pretty nice. You can cut this engine, but I wouldn't recommend it. The other 3 cards are all flex spots, so you can change all of those cards. I really like them. So 1 Dragite, this is a spell negate. This is good against spell heavy decks, and since Despia is running around, making this card to negate something like Branded Fusion is pretty good. Then the White Aura Whale, what this card does is, if you summon this card, it destroys all monsters in attack position your opponent has. So not only can this clear boards, but what it does a lot of time is to force out negates, which is pretty good, because if you can force out a negate with this card, maybe a negate with your adventure cards, a lot of the time you can just then play with your plunder stuff and kill your opponent. And then 1 Access Code Talker, this card is also not really needed. I just like it because it is a good card to out problematic monsters, and also it can out floodgates, like for example skill drain, by just banishing itself, and it is also a very easy way to OTK that you can go into. Okay, let's go into our second build. This is more of a pure build for the deck, so without the adventure engine. The Plunder Patrol ratios itself haven't changed, so you play still 3 of those, 2 Redbeard, 1 Booty, and 3 field spells. Then we have 2 Desires and 1 Foolish Burial. So this Foolish Burial once was a 3rd Desires, but as we all know, Konami for some reason hit Desires. Now with 2 you can play it in the deck, because there's nothing in the deck that you really want to banish, except for the trap, and in most matchups the trap isn't even all that important. I'm under 1 Foolish Burial. This card can change, but what I really like about this card is opening Foolish and Black Eyes basically makes Foolish a searcher for every Plunder Patrol that you want to have, so that's why I really like the card in the deck. Then Forbidden Droplet. Forbidden Droplet is a very good card if you go second, but it is also in this deck a nice card if you open it going first, because you can set it, and for example if you just have, let's say, Droplet, Whitebeard and some hand traps, what you can do is summon Whitebeard during your opponent's turn, tag that out for the list, for example, which would be the best case. You have a monster negate for the list, you negate something with the list, then you use this effect to special summon the Whitebeard, then you use Forbidden Droplet to send the Whitebeard, negate something, and then Whitebeard triggers to special summon one of your Plunder Patrols, for example Redbeard, that then can tag out for another ship. So with this card you can do a lot of things in the deck, so that's why I really liked it, especially if I play it pure. Sadly in the adventure build it doesn't really have space, but I would side deck this card. Then we play Free Crossout Designator. This card is basically in there because we don't have the adventure engine, and we still have the problem that every of our ships can be ashed, so having the Crossout Designator for that is really good. And then the Called by the Grave as a 4th copy of a card to out Ash Blossom. For this hand traps we play 12, so we play 3 Ash Blossom because I just want to have 3, and then 2 DD Crow, 2 Veiler, 2 Impermanence, and then just 1 Bell, 1 Ghost Ogre, and 1 Nib. These 3 cards are basically just there for the Crossout Designator because they are all played and they can all potentially hit you. With this card can hit your field spell. This card, yeah, is Nib. This card can hit some of your Plunder Patrol effects. Yeah, and those are just good hand traps that I really want to have, but also that can be used against me. So for the extra deck hasn't changed. So in this variant and the Adventurer variant, I didn't change the extra deck, so we don't have to go over it. And we can just jump into the next version of the deck. So as I said, this is more of a budget build for the deck itself, because the deck itself is pretty budget, because all of the Plunder Patrols are very cheap. The ships itself are all pretty cheap. You can even get the secret rare variants of the ship for just a few bucks, so that is really nice. And what I combined it with here are Kaijus, because Kaijus are also something that work really good in the deck, because not only are they Kaijus, so they can out basically everything, they're also monsters that you can summon to your opponent's side of the field to give them an archetype that you need for your ships. So to go along with that, this time I went for 3 Redbeard. The other ratios haven't changed, but you can also cut this Redbeard for another DD Crow. It doesn't really matter. For the hand traps, I thought to go with DD Crow, Ash, and Veiler. So Veiler is pretty cheap; you can get that for a few cents. DD Crow is not that expensive either, and Ash was also in an extra deck, and this is also a card that, even if this card was expensive, it is a good investment, because since this card released, every deck plays it at 3. So yeah, it is a card probably everyone has. Then we play 3 Kaiju Slumber and the Kaijus itself. So I play 2, 2, and 2 of the Dark, Light, and Fire, because those are the attributes that the ships have, and then 3 Gadala. This one is because Plunder is running around, so the Wind Kaiju against Plunder is pretty good because it outs the barrier statue. And then one Cold Butter Grave, because just play Cold Butter Grave. And here the extra deck is pretty much the same, because nothing in the extra deck is really expensive. Those cards is just a few bucks, this card is just a few bucks. And what I changed for the Access Code Talker is a card that you can always change for the Access Code Talker, because it works really well in the deck, and that is the Geonator Transverser. So what that card does is that it changes control of 2 cards it points to. So you give your opponent 1 card and they give you 1 card. So you can give them one of your monsters to trigger your ships once again, which, if you haven't noticed it already, the hand traps that I play are dark, fire and light. So if you really need to, you can normal summon one of your hand traps in a zone the Geonator points to. You can give a Kaiju to the zone, to the other zone it points to, and then change control of the Kaiju and the hand trap. So you have the Kaiju and the ship that you want, which is pretty cool. And then the extract itself, it is pretty much the same. Like I said, you can cut this engine if you want to, if you find something else that you want to play. But yeah, I really like it that way. So let's go to our last build. And as I said, the last build is a completely meme build, so this is a classic pirate build, and I try to include everything in this build that really goes with the pirate theme. So we max out on all of the Plunder Patrol cards, because those are the good cards of the deck. So I really just went on and put all of them in, so that I mostly can play Plunder Patrol with all of those other cards, because half of the cards that are in this build are not really all that good. Not talking about this card, Triple Tactics Talents is a really good card. Why this card is in there is because it steals a monster from your opponent, and that's what pirates do, is they steal cards from the opponent. That's also the reason why Crackdown is in here. That's also the reason why the newly unbanned Change of Hearts is here, and why the Mind Control is here. Then I play 3 of the map. This is because they are pirates, and pirates have to do with maps. And this card is not useless at all, because it searches a monster with 0 attack. And wouldn't you know it, Goldhair has 0 attacks, and this is a pretty good Plunder Patrol. So this card searches one of your Plunder Patrols, so it is not useless in the deck. Then we play 3 Reckless Greed, also something that pirates really have a thing for, and it also draws you 2 cards, which is a pretty good effect for skipping your next 2 draw phases, which is not that big of a problem, because you draw in your opponent's turn, you search in your opponent's turn, you get those 2 additional cards, and you just kill them in the next turn most of the times. So it doesn't even matter that you miss out on 1 draw, which is not really the bad of a thing. Also, what I have to mention playing this card, what you shouldn't forget, is that this effect doesn't stack. So if you have 2 of those cards, you can draw 4 cards, and then you just skip your next 2 draw phases, so it doesn't stack that you skip the next 4 draw phases. Then 3 Wave Motion Cannon. I don't have any idea what this card is in there. I mean, it burns your opponent, which isn't that bad. The real reason why this card is in there is because it is cannons, and yeah, pirates and cannons, that just goes along. And the last thing that I play is I wanted to have something that really gets the theme of the sea. And then I was reading this field spell, and I realized that this field spell actually comes up in the deck. So what this field spell says is that when a card is activated, you can place 1 water monster from your deck on top of your deck. So you can stack any Plunder Patrol that you want to have next turn. Or also stack a Plunder Patrol, so your Reckless Greed always draws a Plunder Patrol, so that your ships are always live. And then what the card says that is really interesting is once per turn during your main phase, if you special summon a water synchro monster, you can look at your opponent's hands, and if you do, banish 1 card from mid phase up until the end phase. So you can, in your opponent's turn, summon White Aura Whale, destroy all monsters he controls, and then banish one card from the hand, which isn't really good, but it is just funny that it works in this deck somehow. And then the one set rotation just to get this card out. The extra deck changed slightly, so I play one Warlord Dragon because this also steals card, and it just feels like a nice boss monster, so the dragon that the pirates summon to steal even more from your opponent. Then one Omega, because you can make this card and it banishes a card of your opponent's hand, so it also basically is stealing. This card is just a kind of mermaid water creature, whatever, which fits with the pirate theme. And then just another ship that you might go into. This card is not really good. I didn't went into the times that I tried out this list, but yeah, it is just another ship, so that's what we played. Overall, this build is not really good. It can win some games because it has some nice cards. So Tactics is always a good card. The Change of Heart, the Mind Control, and the Crackdown are pretty good because you can use whatever you steal for your Blackbeard, because like I said, it only needs one monster. So this card also has some cool and some funny interaction, and it is really fun to play, especially if your opponent gets what you want to do with the deck. Yeah, and with that we come to the end of the video. If you liked it, just tell me in the comments below. If you want to try out the Plunder Patrol, they are a very fun archetype. And if you have any further suggestions or another fun build that you can use with the deck itself, just type it inside. I always love to find new ideas for the decks that I build. And with that, I'm out. Have a good one.